Bobby Lashley is pounding on the door to the WWE Championship. I'm Matt Carlins, and this is Just Pro Wrestling News for Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. A special welcome to those of you listening on OccupyProWrestling.com. If you want to bring our updates to your website, email us, desk@justprowrestlingnews.com. Results from Ring of Honor's Weekend TV are straight ahead in this update, but first, last night's Raw and The Miz's reign as WWE Champion may not last another week. He'll defend against Bobby Lashley on next Monday's Raw. Lashley secured the one-on-one title match by blowing through Braun Strowman in last night's main event. Lashley kicked out of Strowman's powerslam, put him away with a spear, and then put Strowman down with the Hurt Lock. The Miz decided that this was the right time for an ambush. Instead, he got a spinebuster and a spear from Lashley, who could not have looked more dominant. The former champ, Drew McIntyre, nowhere to be seen on last night's Raw. Randy Orton, he had a rough night. He started to cough during a backstage promo, then he started to spit up some black goo before he staggered away. One night after she pinned SmackDown Women's Champ Sasha Banks, Nia Jax pinned the Raw Women's Champion Asuka. Jax took advantage after Asuka caught a wayward boot from her tag partner Charlotte Flair. Asuka was clearly upset over the misfire after the match. Charlotte's drama was just getting started. A little later backstage, she hashed things out with Dad Rick and apparently put a bow on the storyline that abruptly ended with Lacey Evans announcing she's pregnant. Rick said he was trying to motivate Lacey because he saw potential in her. He also said he never claimed Lacey's baby was his. Charlotte basically told him to go home. Let's move on. WWE started promoting that Rhea Ripley is coming soon to Raw. MVP is sharing some details on his knee injury, which he says is actually a re-injury that happened during last Monday's Raw.
So I got an MRI the next day. We found out that I had some very slight tears in the meniscus. Was able to get a cortisone shot and start the reflex treatment therapy, so no surgery.
That clip from MVP's Instagram. WWE has a new broadcast deal with Sportsnet in Canada. It means NXT will begin broadcasting live in that country starting with Wednesday night's episode. It appears we have a clarification on the WWE Network's transition to Peacock. WWE is advertising the Fastlane pay-per-view on March 21st. Will stream live on both Peacock and the network.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Hiromu Takahashi, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion and one of New Japan's top stars, will be out of action for 6 months. New Japan announced Monday that Takahashi has a torn left pectoral muscle. He and Bushi were set to challenge for the junior tag titles on Thursday. Now it's going to be El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru challenging El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. No word as of Monday night on what New Japan will do about Takahashi's scheduled junior title defense Sunday against DLP.
AEW.
AEW's Anna Jay could be out of action for up to a year after suffering a shoulder injury during training. It's going to require surgery. She had surgery on that same right shoulder back in 2019. Jay was pulled from her first-round match in the Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament. 4 matches were shown on AEW's YouTube channel on Monday. Jay was replaced by Maddie Rinkowski, who lost to Dr. Britt Baker. Also from that broadcast, Nyla Rose beat Ty Conti. Rose and Baker will now meet in the semifinals of the US side of the bracket on Wednesday's Dynamite. We also got the semifinals from the Japan side of the bracket. Yuka Sakazaki overcame some outside interference to beat Emi Sakura. Also, Ryo Mizunami defeated Aja Kong via countout. 16 matches on tonight's AEW Dark and at least a half dozen wrestlers making their AEW debuts. Dark also has a couple matches that are tough to call. Kylan King versus Tesha Price and Aaron Solo versus Ryan Nemeth.
Ring of Honor.
Big happenings on Ring of Honor's Weekend TV. Shane Taylor and the Soldiers of Savagery are the new ROH 6-man tag team champions. They dethroned Bandito, Rey Horus, and Flamita. EC3 is back in ROH. He confronted Jay Briscoe. Those two were set for a match at Final Battle, but it was scrapped after EC3 was pulled from the show due to a positive COVID-19 test. Now, EC3's return came after the Briscoes were beaten by Dragon Lee and Kenny King. Lee and King are now the #1 contenders for the ROH tag titles.
Impact Wrestling.
Tonight's Impact Wrestling has a big 6-man tag. Willie Mack, Trey Miguel, and Josh Alexander versus Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Black Taurus. The winning team will compete in a 3-way next week, and the winner of that match gets an X Division title shot. Also tonight, a tables match between Jake Something and Diener. That's Just Pro Wrestling News for Tuesday, February 23rd. Our next update comes your way tomorrow morning. Please rate, review, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. I'm Matt Carlins. Thank you for listening.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.